Welcome to this edition of CUNation. I'm Kevin Lytle. Joining me today is CEO and President of the National Co-operative Business Association, Paul Hazen. Welcome, Paul.
Thanks, Kevin. Good to be here.
Paul, can you start off by telling us a little bit about NCBA and who you serve?
Sure. NCBA is the oldest cooperative organization in the country. We were founded in 1916, and we work to develop, advance, and protect cooperative businesses in the U.S. We represent all types of cooperatives: credit unions, housing co-ops, food co-ops, co-ops that you would commonly know, like Ace Hardware, Land O'Lakes, True Value, cooperatives that impact people on a daily basis.
Okay, so credit unions can be members of NCBA?
Absolutely. Any cooperative in the country can be a member. There are 29,000 cooperatives, and we'd like to have them all as members. And we have some of the largest credit unions in the country as members, like Navy Federal Credit Union. But we also have some small community development credit unions as members.
Okay. And do they all share the same kinds of operating principles or values, or what's the common denominator?
Every co-op have the same 7 cooperative principles. Democratic control, operating on a not-for-profit basis, and share real common cooperative values like honesty, integrity, solidarity. So regardless of the type of co-op you go to, they're all founded and utilize the same cooperative principles and values on a daily basis.
Oh, wow. Now, you were saying earlier that NCBA is working with the Filene I3 group. Can you explain a little bit about what you're doing with them?
Sure. We're working with Filene and to identify opportunities for credit unions and other types of cooperatives to work together on joint business activities. One of the projects that's come out of our collaboration has been a directory on a website of all the cooperatives in the country. So you can type in a zip code and find out where all the credit unions and other types of cooperatives are in a particular community. That website will be launched later this year in a couple of months. But I think it's a really great example of how Filene's trying to look for opportunities to expose credit unions to the broader cooperative community.
Oh, wow. Okay. So they share the same kinds of principles, same kind of values. What are some of the challenges that credit unions and other types of cooperatives are facing today?
I think one of the biggest challenges is the cooperative identity. 120 million members of cooperatives in the country. A big majority of those are about 90 million in credit unions. If you went out and did a survey, most of the members don't really know that they're a member of a cooperative and what the real benefit is to them about their membership. So we have a big opportunity and challenge is to raise the awareness of cooperatives in people's minds. So that's a real key issue. Another key issue that faces all cooperatives is accessing enough capital in order to grow and expand the business. And traditionally cooperatives are undercapitalized, and we're working at NCBA on a number of different projects to open up some new cooperatives, equity sources for cooperatives.
Wow. You know, cooperatives and the notion of cooperatives have been in the press a lot lately, particularly as it relates to health care. I know you were working behind the scenes or in front of the scenes with regard to that whole movement or initiative. Can you explain a little bit more about what you've been doing?
Sure. Well, the Senator Conrad from North Dakota, on an off-the-cuff remark, suggested that we ought to have healthcare cooperatives as part of President Obama's healthcare reform. And his initiative really took off, and suddenly people said, wow, that's a great idea, let's investigate that more. And so we spent a lot of time in the media and on Capitol Hill explaining to people what a cooperative is, that it's member-owned and controlled. At the end of the day, the legislation actually did not have member ownership and control in the legislation. And so we worked actually not to call them cooperatives. They're nonprofits, which are good entities, but they didn't have two of the critical elements of membership, ownership, and control. And so we said, you really can't call these cooperatives. But it was a great moment because for the cooperative movement, because we were in front pages of the New York Times and the Washington Post and CNN on a daily basis for weeks, as an opportunity to show people that cooperatives serve a lot of people in this country.
So there's some national awareness through that debate. I read recently also where the United Nations has named 2012 the year of the cooperative.
That's right. Great opportunity. Some might remember a few years ago the United Nations had the year of microfinance, microcredit, that really put microfinance on the map. And the United Nations had a commission about 4 or 5 years ago that took a look at cooperatives and said that they felt that the United Nations could raise the profile of cooperatives around the world. And so after a debate in the United Nations, they designated 2012 as the International Year of Cooperatives. And there are plans now being developed of how we're going to celebrate this around the world. It'll be a great opportunity to raise the profile of cooperatives, to introduce cooperatives to new people. The member governments of the United Nations will be asked to focus on cooperative laws, to make them better, to do education about cooperatives with government officials. Mm-hmm. So this will be a great opportunity for us to join with people all around the world, you know, who want to promote cooperatives.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
If you were to give any advice to credit unions to help demonstrate or communicate the difference of a credit union versus other types of financial institutions, what would it be?
I think putting your values into practice. You know, making sure that the member comes first and demonstrating that these are open and transparent businesses. You're not for profit. You're for service of the members. That you have solidarity with other people who have similar interests, but putting those values into practice every day. Mm-hmm. You know, and you know, the interest rate on a car loan is going to be important. But I think what we've learned as a result of the current financial crisis is that there are a group of people out there, a big part of the population in the country, that are looking for a different way to do business. And that's the opportunity we have right now to promote our businesses and to really demonstrate that we can put these values into practice on a daily basis for our members.
That's great. For our viewers, the credit unions out there, if they're interested in learning more about NCBA and how to become a member, what should they do?
They should go to our website, ncba.coop. And you can find a lot of information there about NCBA and cooperatives, a lot of links to other types of cooperative organizations, and a lot of good resources that are available on the web, and ways to network with other types of cooperatives.
That's great. Well, Paul, thank you very much for coming today. We appreciate it, and safe travels going back.
Great to be here.
And thank you for joining us.